I hate this endless waiting game. I feel like I'm going crazy.
I can hear that. And I think one of the things is, especially from our athlete mindset, we like accomplishments and tasks and we want to get things done.
Mm.
But that's just not how our body works. And we have to learn to be patient and understand that this is a trust game. The body wants to trust that there will be sufficient energy, there will be sufficient rest, and cycles will resume. Energy will be stabilized. Your sleep will get deeper. And in the meantime, reflect on all the hard work and progress that you've made and be able to think about how you can set yourself up for the long game. What might have been some of those roadblocks previously, and how can you set yourself up so moving forward you can avoid any more symptoms, red states. And I kind of have a saying like, avoid the red by staying fed. How can you ensure simplistic tasks each day, week, month, even when schedules are really busy? That way you stay nourished and you are well rested.
What would you say for how would you say for people to go about that in terms of like reflecting on this time? Is there a few methods you suggest for that?
So, one of the things is to take a look at your training log and look at when there's changes in the amount of time, the intensity, or maybe even when life gets hectic. You know, there's training load and there's life load, but the body doesn't know the difference. Like a friend of mine, Chris Johnson, says that. And when you know, here we are, I know this recording won't be necessarily a date stamp, but we're heading into the holidays, calendars are going to get busier. And sometimes we have to think more creatively, and sometimes we have to think more conveniently on how we can make sure we're nourished, which might mean that we're at the mercy of eating things that are already prepared. And we can't necessarily always have control over where we're getting our foods or if we make it. Sometimes it's a nice luxury too, just to be able to come home, heat something up and eat it. I know I've learned to incorporate that in my week at the end of the week, and it sure saves what little left the brain energy I might have.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, thank you. And then do you typically suggest people do meditation or journaling or something for them to process, or is that going to make things more difficult?
I think if they can, don't put an expectation on it like I've got to sit down for 5 minutes.
Okay.
It might even be when you're in the car, you reflect upon it. The great thing is now with all this technology, we can look back at the puzzle pieces and be able to try to put them back together. I'll use an example. I had one athlete that I worked with that he also was a coach. So he had meticulous data from his training log. He had been recording his food. He had heart rate data, you name it. And there was twice a year where he would get really hectic. He had young children that were in school. He also would get very busy with work. And so we would see this trend. He would start to lose a couple hours of sleep. He would then start to not be able to get his intake in where he normally would. And then lo and behold, he would get sick. Then
Mm.
he would have to cut back his training, and then he felt like he had to make up the training. And so by seeing that pattern established actually 3 different times, we could come up with a game plan to prevent that. And he was actually able to have his most resilient season, and come big race, which was Kona for him, he was healthy for the first time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing that.